Ray Gillenwater here at Starting Strength Boise with head coach John Dowdy. John and I met at a lifting camp here in Boise about a year and a half ago. And at the time, he was just a lifter. He wanted to have his form checked. He was a damn good lifter, so I think at the camp he squatted 405. He had a bit of knee slide, but that's acceptable.
Still do.
We all do. For a self-taught lifter, pretty impressive stuff. So John's got a cool story as a lifter and also now as a coach, because as I said, at the time, he was just a lifter. He then became interested in coaching. When Starting Strength Boise opened in July of 2021, John joined as an apprentice. He then became a coach running sessions on his own, and then he became an SSC, and now he's the head coach. So he's made extraordinary progress in both lifting and coaching. So I thought I'd get him on the YouTube channel today to show you and tell you about how that actually went down. So John, how did you find out about the program? What attracted you to it? And tell us about your results.
Yeah, so I started lifting, I think just like in high school for like football and sports and everything. And I started doing it again as a hobby after I graduated. And I was just kind of looking for how to do it right, because you don't really know anything as a kid when you're going to the gym. So I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I think I just stumbled upon some of Rip's videos on YouTube, and everything he said kind of started to make sense. So I think I just got exposed to it that way. So that eventually led me to buy the books, which I started reading because I wanted to learn more about that. And then I just started to get interest in coaching as well, just being exposed to the material. And so from there I ended up, like you said, doing the prep course, eventually apprenticing at a couple of our gyms, and then becoming an SSC.
Nice, man. So what were your numbers on the bar when you started, and what are your PRs now?
So my squat, it started in the low 200s, and now I squatted 530 for one. My deadlift started probably mid 200s, and I've pulled 585. My press was, I think about probably 115 for 5, and I've pressed 275. And my bench, probably 185, and it's now, I've got it to, I think, 370.
So you actually did the program?
Yeah, I did.
Unusual.
After a while, I did.
Very unusual. And how long did that take for you to go from point A to point B?
To finish the NLP?
To start from those starting numbers to those PRs.
It's probably been almost 2 years now.
2 years, yep.
Yeah.
And how much weight did you gain?
When I started, I weighed 190, and now I'm 255.
Right. One of the most important parts of doing the program is the fork, obviously, which you did well. And then you became a coach, and man, one of the reasons I wanted to have John on the channel was because the same thing applied. Like we have a program laid out to get strong. We have a program laid out to become a great coach, and you were very compliant with both. And you really dedicated yourself to both, and it shows. So tell us what's different about you. What did you do differently than most? What was it that got you from apprentice to head coach inside of a year?
Well, I guess to start, before I apprenticed, I was just coaching on my own. I was here in Boise, and I heard there was going to be a gym here, so that's kind of what got me interested in it. And so I was just doing the prep course on my own, and I had, a couple friends who would let me coach them every once in a while. But it was a lot harder to do that on your own because you don't have access to the clients that you do here in a gym. And so I first was able to apprentice at Starting Strength Austin in I think May or June of last year for a few months, and then until we were able to open here in Boise. And I think I really owe it to the gym and the kind of the structure of how it works here. Because you come to a gym and you work underneath a starting strength coach. In my case, Mark Diffley in Austin, and then Paul Horn here in Boise. And so they're able to watch you in real time to see kind of how far you are and what you need to improve, and give you feedback on the spot. And then you have your online mentor who also gives you feedback on videos you send in, which is super helpful. But I'd say it's mostly the kind of the structure of the gym that you can On my own, like I said, I was seeing, maybe 2 or 3 people a week, and they were super off and on. They weren't consistent at all. Whereas in a gym, you see, multiple classes of up to 8 people every day. So I remember my first couple weeks at Austin, I probably learned more coaching-wise and developed my coaching eye more in those couple weeks than I had in like the 6 months prior on my own, just because of the amount of people that you're seeing.
Those of us that did this the hard way in the old days are quite jealous because, as you know, when you're coaching people in your garage, you don't know if you're doing anything correctly or incorrectly.
Yeah.
You're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants and trying to figure it out as you go. So to be able to see that many people every day and to get that kind of feedback from people like Diff Lee in Austin and Paul Horn here that have had that much experience is so valuable. So that makes a lot of sense. And then tell us about the prep course, because this certification is not easy. Our pass rate's around 15%. I passed the platform the first time I took it, just barely, but then I failed the written. The written is now an oral, by the way. And I had to redo the written. So I did not have the prep course, and I struggled with the academic side of this thing. What's the prep course like?
So the prep course, it's basically a compilation of like 23 lessons or modules, I think they're called. They each have a coaching assignment where you submit a video to your mentor in the prep course, and then a written assignment, like an essay with maybe 3 to 5 questions. And so it gives you an opportunity to it gives you, I guess, questions to think about and actually answer, and then see if you have thought through them and gave a sufficient answer on.
You blazed through the prep course. How long did that take?
Or actually, could I just maybe talk about this?
Yeah.
I'd say that the prep course, the biggest thing about the prep course is that it prepares you really well for the oral board, because a lot of the questions on the prep course are really similar to what the kind of concepts that you need to really understand in order to pass the oral board, even though they might not be worded or be asking the exact same question. If you can successfully go through the prep course and understand the material really well, it'll prepare you really well for the oral board. In the same way that apprenticing here at the gym is going to prepare you really well for the platform exam. And it helps you because there's a lot of information in all the books, and in the blue book and practical programming, and then the Barlow prescription. There's a lot of material. It kind of helps you focus on like what's the most important things that you need to really have a solid understanding on in order to pass the oral board.
Okay, so then you went to Wichita Falls and you had the platform exam. What was that like?
It was kind of, leading up to it, everyone's really nervous about it because it's kind of intimidating going there and coaching in front of someone who's basically, going to fail you if you mess anything up. I kind of realized, like, once I was there, I felt pretty confident in that, I've done this, thousands of times. I've coached a squat, thousands and thousands of squat reps. So, I felt like I knew what I was doing, even though if it was a pretty kind of high pressure situation.
And you knew you were doing it right because you had other starting strength coaches look at your coaching technique and make sure that you were getting people moving in line with the model accurately, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Any memories from the trip or anything that stands out to you about the experience?
There's a lot of anxiety like right before, but once you got into it, it felt like I was just, I was in the gym coaching.
You're prepared.
Yeah.
And as Rip always says, the seminar is not to make a coach. This industry is so ridiculous because there are fitness certifications where you can go to a weekend seminar and all of a sudden you're a coach. You get a certificate and you can coach, right?
Yeah.
And that's not how it works here. At the Starting Strength seminar, we identify good coaches because you cannot make a coach in a weekend, because a good coach means that you've done this a bunch of times and you have a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
So what was the oral board like? Because you were pretty nervous about the oral board, and I think you were probably over-prepared for that.
Yeah.
Because the feedback at the end was that you crushed it, and they kind of like ran out of things to ask you about because you kind of flew right through it. So
yeah.
What was the oral board like?
Like I said, it was really just kind of like those concepts you learn in the prep course. And before to prepare for that, I just went over all of my notes from the prep course, all my answers and responses from my mentor, Pete, to just make sure I remembered everything that I had previously learned. And that prepared me pretty well to answer anything that came up.
Awesome. Any Anything sarcastic you can say about Pete Trupos? Can we roast him a little bit? He always gets me on the podcast. So I'm not as funny as he is, so I don't have anything
Yeah, I
off
don't
the
know
top
if
of
I'm
my
as
head.
witty as he is either.
Okay, if anything comes to mind, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so you became an SSC. In these gyms, to be a coach, you have to be at the level of an SSC. So you have to be able to get anyone moving in line with the model, and the SSC or the head coach in the gym verifies that before you can run sessions yourself. So the SSC is basically a prerequisite to run these sessions. You either have it or you're working towards it. And then the head coach is the next level above that. The head coach is, you can fix the majority of problems. You've seen everything and you know how to approach most situations. You're not just responsible for programming and technique for your own members in your own sessions, but you're also overseeing all the members in the gym. So you're coaching through others, you're helping your apprentices develop, and you're making sure the member experience and the coaching quality is as high as it can be. And the result of that is member retention and referrals. So what has changed about your mindset or your day-to-day as a head coach versus just as a coach running sessions on your own?
Well, kind of like you mentioned, you're more responsible for the whole gym rather than just your personal session. So you have to visit, I try to visit every class at least once a week to coach every member, or at least be there while they're being coached, and make sure the quality coaching is what it should be. But I think it also helps, like you mentioned, you're kind of stepping back sort of from the role of being the coach to coaching the other coaches. I think that's actually helped my own coaching. The same way that like coaching others will help your own lifting, I think coaching other coaches kind of helps your coaching too, because it helps kind of remind you of things that maybe you need to improve when you're watching someone else do it. And I don't know, that's just something I've kind of noticed as I've started to do this more recently.
Yep, as Rip says at every seminar, when one teaches, two learn, which is why if you go to a seminar, even if you're not trying to become a coach, the platform staff will have you coach other trainees on the platform, because that actually helps your own lifting. So the same thing applies to becoming a coach. So if there's one lesson to be learned from John Dowdy, it's do the program when it comes to starting strength as a trainee and when it comes to the prep course as a prospective coach. John did the program. His results were phenomenal as a trainee. He's a big, strong guy. He worked his ass off in the prep course. He became an SSC really quickly, and the sky's the limit for your career. So well done, John. Thank you.
Thank you.